Now to the final farewell to a giant in American politics. This is a live look at the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C., where Congressman John DIngell represented his district for nearly 6 decades. The late Congressman's remains arrived in the nation's capital Tuesday ahead of a funeral mass tomorrow. Yesterday, lawmakers walked out of the Capitol building to say a last goodbye to their former colleague. Members of the House and Senate waited in the rain to pay tribute as the dean made one final visit to the People's House. Earlier on Tuesday, a separate funeral service was held in Dearborn. Among the mourners, U.S. Senator Debbie Stabenow, who served alongside the former congressman for nearly 20 years. The Now Detroit's Heather Catallo caught up with Senator Stabenow in Washington, D.C. today. She joins us live with more on how Michigan's senior senator is being remembered by his former colleague. Heather.
Glenda, as you know, John DIngell led with such dignity here in D.C., so his colleagues in both the House and the Senate want to make sure he has a very special farewell here in the Capitol. Michigan has said goodbye to former Congressman John DIngell. Now it's Washington's turn.
In the quiet times is when it got hard. So I was glad to be there.
After the legendary legislator's funeral in Dearborn on Tuesday, Senator Debbie Stabenow joined the DIngell family on the honor flight as the congressman's casket was brought back to Washington, D.C.
I was thinking as we were driving in the motorcade to the airport that I have had hundreds and hundreds of flights where I've gotten on the flight, said hello to John, and this was his last flight. D.C.
Stabenow served with DIngell in Washington for nearly 2 decades. From the Civil Rights Act to the Affordable Care Act, Stabenow says the Dean of Congress was always there to reach across the aisle and get the work of the people done.
He showed how you can stand up and fight for what you believe in and still make a compromise in order to make progress happen.
Now tonight on the House floor here at the Capitol, the Michigan delegation will hold special order speeches where members can come and share their stories about John DIngell right on the House floor. So as you can see, the tributes just continue to come in for the dean here in the Capitol. Reporting live in Washington, D.C., I'm Heather Catallo for the Now Detroit. Glenda, back to you.
What a moment, Heather. Thank you so much. Mr. DIngell's funeral mass will be held at the Holy Trinity Catholic Church in Washington, D.C. That's starting at 10:30 tomorrow morning. We'll be streaming the service live on WXYZ.com. The World War II veteran will then be laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery. And be sure to stay with 7 Action News on air and online as we honor the life and legacy of the late Congressman. Heather and Carolyn will continue our coverage of his final farewell in the nation's capital through tomorrow.